Hi everybody, this is Kathy Drew from Gina's Bernina Sewing Center and welcome to Gina's Pro Tips. Take a look at this beautiful table runner that Kathy Carlson made for us, incorporating a lot of the decorative stitches from her machine and the fabulous Bernina Circular Embroidery Attachment. That's what we're going to be talking about today, so I hope you'll stay with me and we'll be right back. So this is your circular embroidery attachment. It comes in a fairly sturdy box for you. You could use it to store it in afterwards. This outer covering is just going to slide right off. And let's pop it open. See if I can open this without totally destroying the packaging. And on the top, you're going to find your little instruction book. This is going to tell you how to attach it to your machine, as well as some tips on actually using the attachment. And when we open this up, the attachment's going to be in the bottom. And you will have a screwdriver along with a couple of screws that you use to attach it to the free arm of your machine. So they give you an extra screw, so if you're like me and you lose it, you've got to back up. So I'm going to put all these things on my sewing machine and get this out of the way. And one thing too I need to mention before I forget is that you can use virtually any presser foot with your circular embroidery attachment, and that number on that attachment is number 83. And this attachment works on all the Bernina models. It works on even the older machines. So if you have one of these from one of your past Berninas, you're going to find that it works on your newer Bernina as well. So you can use virtually any presser foot. The one that I have on today is presser foot 39C, and I simply have it on just because it has that channel cut out in the bottom of the foot to allow for the thickness of decorative stitches to feed under. Plus you have some registration lines in red. So, and it's clear, which makes it great for visibility. Now you can attach the circular embroidery attachment two different ways. You have a hole here that you can use, and you have one here, and hopefully you can see right here you have the two holes on your throat plate cover that you can also attach it to. And generally speaking, the one that is closest to the presser foot will work great for your 9mm machines. Okay, so you can attach it with the extension going to the right of the presser foot, or if you prefer, for whatever project you're working on, you can use this and attach it with the extension going to the right. Now, one of the things to note here, this is a slide bar, and you'll notice there's a silicone top there that when you remove it, it exposes a very sharp pin. And we want to always remember to keep this cap on that pin so you won't hurt yourself with that sharp tip. And we are going to be adjusting how large our circle is going to be by how far away we move this from the needle, whether you have the extension on the right or on the left. So I think for the sake of the video, I am going to position it to the right so that you all can see a little bit better. And let's see how good I am at putting this screw in today. There we go. And when I tighten this, I don't overly tighten it. I just want to make sure that I have it on there tight enough and secure enough that it will not move. All right, so I'm just making sure that I'm lined up here fairly good. I'm using the seam allowance guides on the throat plate cover there. And then I'm going to tighten this down a little bit more. Perfect. Now I've got it so it's not going to move on me. Now I have my background fabric is going to be this beautiful print. And I am going to position the fabric over the pin where I want the center of my first circle to be. So let's just say we're going to place it there. You could mark and make you some dots or whatever. And once I've done that, keeping in mind that this is the center, you can slide this to the left, closer to the needle, and that will make a smaller circle, or you can move it out to the right and make a larger circle. Okay, I have put some Ultra Clean and Tear Stabilizer on the back of my fabric so that if I use any of these stitches at a width greater than 4, it is going to make sure that my fabric doesn't tunnel under the width of that stitch. And let's see, I'm just going to pull up a stitch off of my practical sewing screen, stitch number 12, and I'm sewing on the Bernina 790 Plus today. And we're just going to let the machine do all the work for us. Now when you put that cap on your pen, that sharp pen, be sure that you don't push it down so far that it restricts movement of the fabric. So you just want to push it down really to protect yourself, not so much to hold the fabric in place. If you push it down too hard, then your fabric can't move in the circle. I'm going to take my scissors and I am going to clip off my thread tail at the beginning. And I've got my machine set for needle down. And also, I have also set the machine to tie off at the beginning, and when I use my thread cutter, it's going to secure my stitches before it cuts my thread. All right, and now let's do secure. So you can see you can do multiple stitches. Oh, let's see, let's move a little bit further out. I always like to throw in some cool straight stitches. This is stitch number 6, which is a multi-motion straight stitch that applies 3 threads per stitch, so that's a great one to use also. And you can see that the circular embroidery attachment is not a difficult attachment to use, and it's a great way to embellish any project you might be working on. Now, one of the cool things about the circular embroidery attachment is that you can also use it to applique down a circle. And I want to show you very quickly how you can do that as well. And we'll let our machine cut our threads. So what I've got is another piece of fabric that I have put Steam-A-Seam 2 on the back, and those of you that have watched my applique video know that we use this quite a bit in the store. This is one of our favorite products. This is the grid side. I haven't ironed this on. I simply hand pressed it in place on the back of the fabric. And then when I peel this off, let me make sure I've rubbed it down really good, because Steam-A-Seam 2 is very tacky. So it's going to allow you to work with it before you actually have to fuse it down. And I'm going to pull the backing off, and that is going to expose the adhesive. If I can get a hold of it. There we go. You might be able to see a little bit of that adhesive. Now I'm going to move to a different position on my fabric. We might even let it overlap a little right here. And on top of the pen, I am going to center my fabric that has the Steam-A-Seam. Now after we get this applique down, you could actually fuse it with the iron, but for right now it's just going to temporarily hold it in place and make sure it doesn't shift on us. I'm just going to use a straight stitch, and let me make this circle a little bit smaller so you don't have to sit. And I am going to do 2 runs of a straight stitch around this circle. Now I do 2 runs simply because I am going to be trimming away the excess of this square that I'm using for the applique. And if I've got 2 runs of stitching, if I inadvertently clip one of those straight stitches, I have another run that's going to catch it, and I don't have to worry about it. Now, you don't have to do the 2 runs. This is just something that I've always done. And you can see I really don't have to do a great deal of guiding. The machine is actually doing everything for me. Okay, now I'm going to lift and release the Steamer Seam 2 from where it's stuck to the background fabric. And these are my Gina double curved, they're the 6-inch size, double curved embroidery scissors. And this is what I always use whenever I'm doing anything that I want to do, any trimming in applique, whether it's in the embroidery hoop, or it works perfect for this. Now I know they have the duckbill scissors for applique, and it is great for some forms of applique, but I just find these are much easier for me to work with. See how I'm able to get really nice and close, and I'm trying to keep my body away from the machine so I won't be in the way of the camera, and I'm able to trim this very close. Okay, now we're ready to apply our decorative stitch, and I think I'll use a satin stitch. I've already got one saved in the personal program, so I will just pull it up and we'll be ready to do our applique. And if you wonder, if you go into your quilt program of stitches, 1354 is actually your satin stitch for applique, so they try to put all the stitches that they can in there for you. And I'm going to move my needle position over. I want to make sure that the bulk of the stitch is going to fall on the applique. So I move my needle position over so that the left swing of the needle will hit on the background fabric and the right swing of the needle will be into the applique. And that way it puts the bulk of the stitching on the applique fabric. And look at this, I am appliquing. You could do various sizes of circles on a piece out of different fabrics, and it would be a beautiful embellishment. I'm going to speed this up just a little bit. And you can see I'm really not having to do a great deal of guiding. The machine is doing all that by itself. So easy to work with. Moves kind of slow simply because we do have it set on a very short stitch length, and that gives you a little bit more time. It moves it slower because the stitches are so close together. This is a fun tool and a great embellishing tool. You can do half circles. You can do a lot with this presser foot and the attachment. And I really like having the visibility in these feet. And there again, this presser foot that I'm using is 39C, but you can use any of the feet that came with your machine or any of the additional feet, as long as they will allow for the bulk of your heavier decorative stitches to feed from under the machine. Or from under the presser foot. And that is how easy the circular embroidery attachment is to use. When I get back to my beginning, I'll stop and use my thread cutter that I've set to secure. And we're ready to do something. Let's see, let's move a little bit closer in, and we'll run another stitch. So you can really embellish beautifully with this. And while I'm finishing this up, I want to thank you all for watching our videos. Be sure and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and share with your friends. We really appreciate you taking this time and spending it with us. And again, this is Gina's Bernina Sewing Center in Knoxville, Tennessee. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.